So like I said, so Lars is your best beginner character, right? We'll set the secondary to training stage. I highly recommend, is a good map to learn shit. So the first thing we need to discuss is that Tekken is super fucking slow. Like, I'm talking molasses. Like we were talking about frames, right? Like, remember 1 frame links and shit, right? So in Tekken, the fastest move is 10 frames. That's this. But it recovers in like a couple more. So frame data is a lot in Tekken. So that's one thing. Don't worry about it. Frame data is king. Like, it really is. Like, knowing frame data is really important. But a second thing you need to know is that there are moves that are high. Like, you see, it says it right there, right? Like, there's highs, mids, and lows. Standing blocking blocks highs and mids, except lows. Most lows, if there's fastish, I think this is 12 frames or something, right? But if a low is like a combo lot starter, super slow. Like, look at this. Like, this is actually one of the faster ones, and they usually have some range, right? And you can react to them. To block lows, you duck. So only duck in Tekken when you know there's gonna be a low, and they'll be like, you'll see it. Look at this. Look, like his leg stutters. When you see Kazuya's like that, that's a full combo. You just literally press down, you let go. This is called the while standing, and that usually launches. We'll show you the combo for the while standing. But right now we're covering some. So lows are super risky. Like if you do a low, it's never your turn. Know that when you do a low, don't try to take your turn. Like, you will usually lose. That's one thing. Do low, and the thing is, do a lot of lows early on for you guys, because people just get away and they don't punish. Another thing is people don't punish lows. So that's another thing to note. They are risky, but no one punishes lows at a low level. So you can get away doing lows, and then when you know they're ducking, hit them with your combo starter. That's what you want to do. You want to open them up. Most lows are pretty slow, reactable, and are pretty minus on hit and on block, unless it's a combo starter, right? Highs are usually pretty plus, but they're risky because you can duck highs. But you guys don't have to worry about that at all. Unless you know a move is super high and slow, then okay, duck it, and then hit him with a while standing. Now, another thing to know is there's a second move. There are things, your punishes. These are super important. Lars has a really good, so you have your 10 frame punishes, which is the 10 frame, right? Pressing, and you see the buttons. So the way inputs work in here is this: you have left punch is square, right punch is triangle, left kick is X, right kick is circle. You notice that the left is on the left, the right is on the right. Simple. Top is punch, bottom is kick. The way we say inputs in here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's in that order. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a one jab, right? This is down forward 1, back 1, back 2, forward 3. You know, things like that. So when you say notations, that's what that means, right? It's basically forward left kick, but no one wants to say all that, right? So no, your 1 is your jab, 2 is your second jab, 3 is your first kick, 4 is your second kick. All right. I mean, the notation gets some use to, right? It's actually probably one of the best notations next to Street Fighter, in my opinion. I actually love Tekken notations because you can use it with everything, right? Like, this is like, you universally can be like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why I love Tekken notations, because you know the numbers are now correlated. Why we do this is because, say if you're playing on a fight stick or Xbox, square doesn't exist on a fight stick or an Xbox, so that's why we use notations, in case you're curious. Yeah, we'll still stick to, like, you know, you'll get used to it, right? Like, you'll see the notation too, like this is back 1, right? But anyways, so you get your basic, right? Your 10 frame is always like your jab, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then your plus, like jab ones, you're always plus. You're like plus 10 or something. So when you do this, if you do a move, for example, this is 15 frames, right? A jab is 10 frames. Your plus 10, this is gonna beat that. I know same with anime games. Right. So I mean, basic frame data stuff, right? But all you know is when you're doing jabs, if they get, this is plus 1. You can't do a lot, but this now becomes plus 14. So one thing to know, a basic strategy is if you want to do a move and feel like you get beat out, do a jab. Hit or not, then do your move like this. Because this is now a 14 frame move. That means unless they're, and the crazy thing is this move avoids jabs. So they actually have to use a mid. There's some moves that avoid, right? So another thing I mentioned is there are crushing moves. If someone's doing like this religiously, and you suck at blocking, hit them with a low crushing move. Most low crushing moves are like an up and a kick or a punch button. Lars is up forward 4. See, like, look at how he doesn't go on the ground. The second it starts up, even if you touch his foot, it will crush your low. So, and if you're getting sick of someone's highs, There you go. So this game has a lot of crushing properties. It's super weird. So when someone does some shit like this, if you hit them with this, their ass is grass. Same if they do a high move, low moves will move high moves. Oh, hit him with a mid. You just hit him with a mid. That's the thing. Hit him with mids. If you know they're like, again, like remember, so a lot of Tekken is basically like jabbing, right? Spacing. So doing your jab to set up your other moves. But, so just know that, okay, we got the fundamentals, right? That moves are really slow in here. But don't block low unless you know someone's going to do a low. And remember, there's highs, mids, and lows. Lows are really risky and usually very punishable, but at your level, nobody cares. There are high crushing moves, low crushing moves, and kind of mid crushing moves, right? And again, it's pretty obvious. Like, this is a low crush, a high crush, also a high crush. Or this is like a mid and a low crush. So some moves can actually avoid mids, which is rare. Well, okay, now let's get into another thing about Tekken. There's grabs, right? Grabs are either done by 1+2 or 1+3, as you can see. Or, so basically, right, like 2 buttons here or 2 buttons there. You also have 1+2 grabs. Mine's is, they're unique, right? But for some characters, so the reason why it's important, so how to get out of grabs, you either press jab or jab. Any jab. Any of them. Now, for 1+2, this is what they're called, see, you see it's 2. That's why we call it 1+2. So that's when you do 2 notations at the same time, you say plus. Like this is 1+2 forward, forward, up, 1+2. That's a grab. To avoid 2, you don't see it a lot, right? Because in your level, in the lower levels, people will spam either 1+1 grabs or 2+2. So remember, if someone grabs you with this, like just look at their arm, right? If they extend one arm, just press any 1 or 2. If you see both their hands come out, press 1+2. I have my button set, by the way. I recommend my button settings is R1 is 1+2, R2 is 3+4. Sometimes it can be annoying to press. So you can map your buttons. I highly recommend it. So if you so when someone throws you, just try to pay attention. Or if they're using the same button over, just mash 1, you'll get out. But if you know they're doing like 1+2, they're gonna keep doing it and then just mash 1+2, and you're good. That's how you break throws. It's either a 1 or a 1+2 break. You're fine. Most people just abuse it. So now you guys know how to take a throw. And okay, so that's throw tech. And you can also duck them. You can duck them, right? Not counting King. King's a whole nother story. King's a the. Okay, I'm getting. Okay. Another thing to know about Tekken. So we took okay. It's 3D. We covered. So remember, there's low crushing, high crushing. There's sidestepping. If sidestepping, it's kind of ass in this game. So you have to make sure, like, you almost have to read it. Like, sidestep doesn't work really good on jabs. If I do a 1, you'll sidestep it, right? But if I do, you have to pay attention on sides. You want to know what someone's weak side is? Look at where their chest is facing. Because Lars is left-handed, right? So if you step that way, a lot of Lars's moves are going to catch you. Just look at how they animate. Look at where his foot's coming from. It's coming from the left side. So remember, so if you want to know a quick tip from me, want to know what step to side, look at where their chest is, step that way. So for Lars, the chest is facing this way. Like look at their stance, right? Look at how it's facing. For Kazuya, his weak side, well, actually I think he's an anomaly. His is actually he's an exception, right? His weak side is actually this side. He's the exception. But for most characters, like you see him, his back, step towards his front, not his back. Because most people lead with their leading arm. Are you getting some and this is a lot. We're not even getting into like, and notice how I am not getting into the fat ass fucking moveset that this game has, because it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Do not try to, like, my recommendation if you want to learn movesets, like, this is what I did, right? I would focus on knowing what your back one is, your forward one, your one, and or things that you can do, right? Like, oh, so 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, right? Stuff like that, right? Or 1 2, like stuff that you could just do, right? Like just focus on knowing, and then you'll know just by you doing this, you'll realize like right here's like 1 2, oh. Right, you realize, oh, so it's only 1 2 or 2 1, right? You know, and you can delay this. Then that's another thing you learn, right? Yeah. And it gets people. This is a string. Knowing strings is good. People will fall for this, especially if you delay it. If they're not respecting you, yeah. Knowing strings is really good, right? And so learning, like, you know, I recommend knowing your buttons. Like, oh, this is a really good button to reach. Oh, this is a good button. Check, right? So I recommend that you, oh, press jab, back jab, forward jab. Like, get accustomed to knowing, because sometimes say you're doing pressure, right? And you're like, oh, I wanted a jab, but you were pressing forward, and you do this instead. That's why I highly recommend in Tekken more than any other fighting game, get adjusted to like that way when you do the wrong button, you know, oh fuck, I was holding back. Because this game, every single button in this game, standing, back, and forward are 3 different moves, bro. Like, this is back 4, standing 4, forward 4, down forward, back 4. Like, that's most of the move list. No bullshit. It's just even a back, like, the exception is back, right? But there's a up forward, down forward, down back, back. There's basically, so one button becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 moves. 6 moves. So that's something, if you want to learn stuff that, like, just know. But even in this general, right? Like, back, like, just know that it's right. Like, know that, here's a good way to differentiate. Back is usually a defensive move. Like, this is a counter hit. This tracks. Forward is usually a button checking move. And 1 is for pressure. So know that when you're doing a neutral, it's usually for pressure or for combos, like standing buttons, right? Back is usually for defense. Forward is for pressure and poking. That's a general rule, right? So, and yeah, that's like, I use it to check people to make sure that they're respecting me. Back for a counter hit, and then standing if I'm trying to get like a good counter hit, right? Like 1, 2, yeah, that wall splat. So that's a general rule that I've noticed from Tekken. Standing moves are very universal. Back are defensive. Forward, offensive, button checking. So if you want to know, like, oh, what are they useful for? And it's a generalization, right? And this is pretty true for Lars as well. You know, Lars is a good example. This is your go-to move if you want to catch people sidestepping. Back 1. Green is kind of shit. And if you want, I would say, but outside of knowing what your base buttons are, oh, what moves should I know? You know, the strings, learn as you go. Don't bother looking at the things, right? Make it like habit, like just, oh, 1, 2 does this. Okay, 1, 3 does nothing. Ooh, 1, 4. That's a nice string, right? Learn to open people up. Dude, Lars is a poking god, right? Like, look at this. Look at how much you have to guess. Like if you're peak Lars, you'll make motherfuckers guess like a motherfucker. Or again, this is what I did, right? After knowing what my basic buttons were, and dynamic entry, we'll get into that. That's unique to Lars. That's a stance thing. We're not getting into stances. Just look at stuff and be like, oh man, you know, that looks cool. You know, like, look at something look for something that looks cool to you. And then make your goal to use that move as much as you can. That's what I could recommend as playing Tekken. Like, find just something that looks cool to you. Oh, now we'll get into armor moves. Everyone has an armor move, right? Just the way to tell. Also, same with the tracking, right? So when you see the spin, that means a combo extender. When you see this, that means armor. When you see that spin circle, that is it's a tracking move. So if you want to know what moves track, just look for the little circle thing. If you want to know what has armor, look for the armor one. And armor moves are good. Say if someone's pressuring you, right? Not sure, like maybe you don't know if he's gonna do a low or not, or a mid. Armor, really good. I highly recommend you guys familiarize yourself for sure with your armor move. Like, it's super good. And some people have a high armor move. That means that you're safe. This is punishable, like, oh, 1 + 2. Then he gets to take his turn. So we covered that, right? 6, like, one button is basically 6 moves. And there's 4 of them. That's a lot, right? So I say, imagine you're doing a string and then you wanted to do back 1, but instead you did 1. You could catch him sidestepping. If you just remember that you have to hold back to do back 1, then you're fine, right? Because it happens, right? People be like, oh, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to do, you know, like this. It's because they were holding down forward. You know, in most fighting games, you know, a jab will be a jab no matter what direction you're holding, right? Like, you know, you hold forward P with BB tag, it's still a punch. You have to hold forward back. And triangle's always triangle no matter what direction you're holding, unless it's down, right? It's either up or down, that's it, nothing else, right? But Tekken's like every direction. But now, let's get into the next thing, right? Going back to the punishes, remember, there's your 10 frames. 10 frame punish, your plus 10. Then you have your 12 frame punish. That's the next fastest move.
Okay, so I need to learn how to poke first.
Yes, absolutely. It's absolutely essential that you know how to poke. Super essential. Second, punishing. Say someone does a move like this. That's punishable. You don't have to know all of them, right? You don't have to know the frames, but the way it works is you got your 11. Like, if you're not positive, this is what my recommendation is. Do your there's 3 types of punishes, right? There's your jab punishes, 12 frame, 13 frame, 14 frame, 15 frame. 15 frame is a full combo. Like that's actually like your fastest combo launcher. This move right here is 20 frames. This is a combo, but this is a read, right? Like if you see someone do a low, you'll hit him with this shit. Boom. Same with this. Like if you know someone's gonna do like a high like that, a counter hit, this is a combo. But this is like 30 frames, right? Like that's the point. Really good combo starters are super slow in this game. The fastest ones are 15. This is 15 frames. It's 15 frames. Anything that's 15, we call that a launch because it's like, oh, it's a free combo. Your 14. So again, no, a 10 frame. Remember, test it out, right? Be like, okay, that. So if you don't know a move, right? Like, it's like if it looks punishable, like jabs and stuff are usually plus. Just know that. But if it's a move like that's negative.
So how do I start a combo?
Again, we'll get to it. Combos aren't the most important thing, especially not in Tekken, but we'll still cover basic fundamentals on that. Remember this, your 10 frame is like 1-2 or 1-1-1. Then you got the 12 frame. For Lars, the 12 frame you just kind of like, you have to know what the character. But for Lars, it's forward, 2, and 4. And you knock them down. Yeah. It's a double high, so like you have to make sure. And it's 12 frames, that move comes out pretty fast. Yeah. Then your 13 frame, for Lars, it's his shoulder. Pretty fast, right? And the thing about punishing moves is be very careful. Like they only work, like they're pretty punishable if you don't get your punish. It's pretty weird, but you guys don't worry about it because you're at a low level. No, again, remember, nobody punishes. As long as you punish, you'll be fine. So remember, 10 frame, 12 frame, 13 frame. Lars, however, is a unique character. He has a launch punish at 14. His is forward, back, 2, 1. He's a unique character. He's one of the few characters, and he has a 14 frame punish. This is, I remember someone said there's no way Lars is low tier. He has a 14 frame punish. And look at the range of this. Do you see this? Do you see that? That's half of a backdash. It's only the first frame, right? Also, this is safe. You can kind of confirm it if you're godlike. And then there's your 15. There you go. So and again, remember, so this is jab, punish, knockdown, punish, knockdown. You want a knockdown so you can still take your turn. And you don't get to punish combo until at 15 frames, so know that. And they're usually moves like this, like they're super slow. Like you can see Lars is still recovering. That's when you go 2. But if you're not positive, remember, test, okay, it's 10 frame punish. Let me do, it's 12 frame punish. Like go up the ladder. Like keep testing it until you know he's blocking it. And the best part is in Tekken, if you're blocking like that, you can actually spam the move and it'll come out as soon as it can. So like, okay, cool, that's punishable. Oh, it's 13 frames. Oh, 14 frames. Let's pretend I'm not Lars. So you just get a nice knockdown. And then you're like, is it 15? And then you see him get hit. You're like, oh shit, I can combo that. So that's how a good way to figure out punishes. Now, so again, we've covered that. We covered sidestepping. Remember, step to their side that they're facing their chest out. Just look at their hand, like I said. Like, look who's leading. So if you see his hand leading left, left-handed. Step to his right is just look at where he's looking and then be like, you put yourself and you're like, okay, so again, we don't blow crush everything. Simple frame data stuff. Don't bother buttons. Familiar size. Okay, now the thing we're all gonna get about that's most important: Korean backdashing. Yes, it is super important. If you can get the hang of that and poking, you'll be good. But here's the thing: do not focus on Korean backdashing. It is way too hard for you to do. Like, there's no way in hell you're gonna do this. Like if you do a good Korean backdash, bro, like you'll do like I'm doing 3 right there. Like you can't see it. So why do we do Korean backdashing? I'm usually better at it, but here's the reason why. So say the round start. Remember I told round start is super important. Backdash. They press any single button. This is what I recommend you do. Focus on backdashing first and reacting. That's what you should focus on first. Backdash. And this is, I swear to God, it happens all the time. Say someone does like a move, right? You backdash.
Is it possible with a tag?
What's up? Hold on. Is it possible with a D? Oh, of course. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, it's possible with D-pad. If anything, it's kind of easier on D-pad. I'm not gonna lie. I go to D-pad sometimes. See, so backdash. This is what I do all the time. Backdash and get your longest reaching move. But here's the thing. So notice how like this won't reach, right? It barely reaches. But if they press a button, you will reach. I do this all the time. I do it with Claudio. This is why I reckon Claudio has a really good range move, right? So here's what you do: round start, backdash. Wait to see if they press a button. They press a button, and then do your combo. guaranteed get you at least to fucking blue ranks. Not even gonna cap you, dude. So cool, now you understand why you backdash and you react. It's in your memory. Like, you are now, when you do back, your brain will now get conditioned to, if you see them press a button, you'll do something. You need to prime that first. Korean backdashing means nothing if you don't know what to do with it. Now, what exactly is Korean backdashing? Okay, say I dash, right? I'm mashing dash right now. Look at how slow that is, right? Doesn't backdash fast. But if you press down, and take it slow, be like, backdash, down. This is what you're gonna do. Backdash. Look, and the thing is, it works as soon as you press it. Exactly. Absolutely. Unless you got a good read, which sometimes you do, then you go YOLO. But backdash. And it works as soon as you press down. And the thing is, you want to like hold it for a second. Korean backdashing works by holding it by a second. If you're doing like tapping it, which is a good way, like back, down, back, down, back, down, you'll do a little sidestep. Which is not bad. I do recommend backdash canceling if they're doing a string that's sidesteppable. But in general, the Korean backdash, you hold it down. Why is that? Why is Korean backdashing so good? So say someone does like a string like this. That'll reach your backdash if they do some shit like that. And you can't punish it because of the Why backdashing works, I've done it before too. I did it round start, I did back. Like this. See, look at how he smooths. Like, you're doing a good Korean backdash just when they're doing smooth. Look at that. It should look smooth. That's what a Korean... Look at that. Look at how clean that shit is, dude. Look at how clean that shit is. The technique that I do... So the way Korean back... Because the thing about it, you have to press back, down, and then back, right? Back, down, back, down, back, down. Like, it's still faster. Like, as long as you can cover distance... You don't have to be good, right? Once you get used to Korean backdash canceling, then you get used to pressing it down and then going back. Why is that? You see, it's a cheat way to do it. You see how I'm pressing down forward? Down forward is detected as a back motion. So the way I'm doing it, when I go like that, it's already back. So what I do is forward, press back one time, and then repeat. That's why it's hard. So remember, this is backdash, down. You look at my input. See, I'm pressing back, down, back, down, back, down. Korean backdash is literally back, down, and I'm doing like a motion, right? This because I'm on analog stick, right? Let's see if I can show it better. That's why I say focus on backdash canceling first. And again, and then remember, focus on backdashing and knowing what to do with it. But remember, imagine someone doing their strings, right? Like this. When you Korean backdash or even backdash cancel, look, see? And look at the inputs. And look at how smooth it is. It takes muscle memory. I'm not even going to lie to you. Look at that. See, I didn't press back once. So what I do is back, roll it, let go, back, and that's why you hear it click. You hear it? Oh, let's see. You hear the single click, 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 click. That's how you know I'm pressing backdash only one time. It's almost like a cheat way, right? But that's later. Remember, focus on backdashing with punishing. So imagine someone's doing the string, right? When you do this, they literally you'll see their punches miss right in your face. And then when you see, let's see. Yeah. When you see them like that, then hit them with you. So what you're doing is, imagine someone's doing a string. Right at the end. So you just keep Korean backdashing. The minute you see it end, that's why Korean backdashing exists. Another reason why this version is good, do you notice what I'm doing when I'm doing this? For 3 frames, I'm holding down back.
So I need to learn normal dashing first.
Yes, people rush too much to the Korean backdashing, and dude, you have to practice it on your own. It has to be natural. Like, see, I'm just right now, like the buttons I'm doing, I'm ignoring it. I'm solely focused. Most people, when you're so focused on the backdashing, you're not paying attention to the match. I'm staring at Kazuya right now, dude. I'm not looking at Lars. Right? The reason this is good, say someone does a low, right? Some people do this. They'll do round start low. That's why I say backdash. If they do a low, block it or high crush it. That's why I say get used to seeing what they do. But Korean backdashing, you don't have to worry about lows. Why? Because you are actually, for a wee bit, and you see how he's going like this? He's actually blocking low. And remember how moves are slow. So when you Korean backdash, if they do a low, either if they're doing like this, like a fast low, you will backdash and be like, oh, you did a low. Punish. They did a slow low, you could just do it, right? Like, don't even pay attention. Say you missed it. Boom. He will literally automatically just block it. That's why Korean backdashing is so dangerous, bro. lows become pretty much useless. Useless. And that's, again, hopefully I think I'm doing a good enough job to conveying my years of playing this fucking. It is a lot. Like, this is the difficulty of Tekken. All the fucking shit you have to fucking remember. And at a certain point, it just becomes most, like, you know, I don't even think about this shit half the time. Now, let's get the combos. Notice how I saved this for last. This is the least important thing. It really is the least important thing in this entire fucking game. So, the way combos work in here is, so you have your launcher, right? What you want to do immediately is, remember how we were looking at the moves, right? Look at your move list. I mean, obviously, look for the ones that are like this, with the little spinning. That means it's a combo extender. The way combos work in here is, here's a combo start, right? And that's the best I can do, right? Like, it's very intuitive. Like, pay attention, like, oh, he's gonna land to the ground, right? Oh, I need a move that can reach him on the floor. Oh, absolutely. But it's super offensive, like, later game, right? Like, okay, that doesn't reach. Simple combo, right? Most people, this is what you... So focus on what's just cool. Don't focus on big combos. Focus on... And then focus on what you're going to do after they get up. I mean, and then there's, remember... If you don't know a combo, so what I recommend outside of, you know, just doing this... Remember, that's the best you can do, whatever. Like, let's assume I don't know anything. But, remember I told you, look at the move that spins? This is it, right? It's this. It's a good mid. You can actually confirm this. So, say if they do a jab, and you see the jab, then press 1, because this is a one, down to 1 move. You see the sparkle and how he's like this? See how he spins? And then he doesn't fall right away. We call those screws. They're combo extenders. So here's an example, right? Look at that. Look at that. And Lars is the best wall carry in this game, right? So you do 1, 2, screw. Do that with every character. Do just the move that picks him up. Do your screw. And then from there, do whatever you want. Part of the fun of Tekken is discovering stuff. Don't look at optimal combos. Stick to what you know. Do not use buttons and stuff that you don't know yet. So if all you know is this... Right, like, well, you gotta dash a bit, right? So it's like, it's hard, right? But even then, just do a big chunky move. You remember the shoulder. Look at that. You do decent damage, right? It's stuff you really got. Even with this. Look at 51 damage. Not bad, right? Remember, he has a 14 frame. Basic stuff. That's really it. Just know that your combos are from counter hits. You're really low. So Lars' combo. So here's our combo starters, right? 1 + 2 forward. This move. Oh, by the way, if you press all the buttons, you go into this state. You can't block during this state, but you can counter hit. Ooh, E7. That's a big boy combo. Don't do that. So there are counter hits. So knowing your counter hits is also good. Really important to know, so. But we won't get too many to counter hits. Just know that for Lars specifically, again, this is a character I highly recommend you actually learn with. He's super good. Like, you at least have 2 characters, right? Lars and then, like, your main, basically. Lars is good to teach you the game, and then someone else. So remember, this is his counter hit. This... Yeah. Oh, this is his bread and butter. Literally, his bread and butter is down forward. Like, when you see the wall splat, you see that's a punish. Say you're against the wall, right? Don't do this. This is a high-level technique. Trust me, don't do it. There's no way you guys are doing that. I mean, unless you want to do it for fun, go for it. Say, oh, he does, like, a move that's punishable. Ah. Down full. So that's why punishes are important. Against the wall, it's a combo. His bread and butter, you'll see it right now. It's going to be down forward. This move, remember, you guys see me. So it's down forward 1. Down back 2, 1. And then the shoulder. That's his go-to wall combo. Like, I shit you not, that's all you need to do. Like, it's not hard to remember, not hard to do, and fuck me, does it do a lot. Ooh. 64 damage, bro. Free. So that one I will say, that's the bread and butter wall. And you can actually, in Tekken, you can actually set them to be on the wall. So if you want to practice that, you can set them to the wall. Let's get into Rage a bit. Thank you for bringing that up. And we'll get into Kazuya too. Okay, so we covered that stuff. Combo basics, right? Just learn how to pick them up first, and then from there, learn how to do your screw. you go. Oh, and then people have multiple screws. Like for Lars, like this is a screw. Yeah, that's a good move, right? Lars' screws is back this. I forgot. Oh, this is also his tracking move is also a screw. This move that tracks is also a screw. Lars is a weird character. But most characters have 4 moves that will extend a combo. And most of the time you have to run up. But Lars, he has this. This is a stance. It's by pressing forward X, you get silent entry. And from here, this is where it gets. This is where Lars has a learning curve. When you do this, his moves change completely. You can't go back or anything. You're stuck in this animation. But what you can do is 1, that's a jab. That's a good counter hit. That's also a good. This is +8 on block. Ew. Look at the range of this. Oh, by the way, Lars is a unique character where he has a backdash that's unique to him. If you press up and then backwards, he rolls.
I have been thinking about playing Tekken more competitive.
Like this is unique to Lars. This is almost as good as a green backdash. Look at that. So this is unique to Lars. We'll cover it, right? Yeah. 1, 2. That's a low. So he can either do a high, a mid, a plus mid. Oh, and it combos on the wall. Ooh. You have to finish it with 3-4. That's his. It's also a regular move. It's 4-4 3+4. So there's also forward moves. So there's like this is his forward, right? But if you press forward, there's that. There's also while running. The while running basically imagine forward, but you hold it because they're while running. That's what it's called. That's +8. All while running moves are plus. So when you see someone running at you, like you see the running animation, and do not press a single button. They are way too plus for you to like. The amount of people that get hit by while running moves on block and be like, it's my turn. Don't do that. They're plus as fuck. There is not a damn move you will do that will beat them unless they just don't know what they're doing. So fun fact, you want to be plus, green backdash, run at them, do a running move, and it's Unga too because of the range. It fucking reaches. It reaches. But anyways, getting back to it. So Lars has extensions, right? So you either 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 3. This is just one button, right? Same with this. This is just one button. He also has 1+2. Lars's stance is kind of confusing, but all you need to know is that that's a good move. No one's gonna punish it. But what you can also do, this is tricky. Say you're pressing 1, right? Hold forward. Look what he does. He goes into another stance. He has different moves in that stance.
So does an armored move work on plus moves?
Yes, absolutely. That's the only exception is armor moves. That's a good thing to bring up. Again, so the thing is, there is one thing to know. Say if someone's +8, right? If they do a jab, one of two things will happen. Your armor doesn't start up fast enough, or he hits you and you armor it, but then he recovers. And then he punishes you. So that's why it's very risky to do armor. But say he does the move, right? Unless you know he's doing, like, you have to make a read, right? Because he's super plus. Like, I see you not, you just block unless you have a hard read. Like, unless you know he's going to do a super slow move like this, and you want to armor through it, go for it, right? Like, that's the only time I do recommend is armoring through plus moves. But only if it's a slow move that hits mid. If it's a high, just, low crush it, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, if you know it's going to be a move, instead of armoring it, it's better that you, like, say he's going to go up for a low, right? Either super slow, high crush it. Because remember, I told you, the beginning of that animation, like, say, okay, let's take some math, right? He's +8. Say he does a move that's 16 frames. That's a low. He's +8. That move is now 8 frames, basically. You don't have a single move that'll beat that. That move kick is 23 frames. But at the start of the 20, it doesn't matter. The beginning of that move, even if he was perfectly +20, right as your move starts, you will crush him. That's what kind of annoys me about Tekken. Frame data goes out the window. That's, yeah. The only other option when you're plus, because most of the time they're close to you, sidestep, absolutely. But the other thing that is also risky about, again, this is, when they're super plus, this is the only exception, right? Other times, yeah, you're worth. Say they're only +5, sidestep, no big deal. But when they're +8, by the time your sidestep starts, they will actually hit you. But again, if they're +8, if they're doing jabs or mids that are pretty fast, it's gonna catch you. And even if you do an armor move, like say this is slow, right? 15 frames, he'll recover because he's gonna hit you right at the end of that move. Then he'll recover right as your armor move is finishing. So basically get a read. Are they trying to poke? Or are they trying to launch me? And if they're trying to launch me, are they trying to do a high or a low? That's what you want to ask yourself. It's like a rock, paper, scissors question. Or are they doing a move that you know can be sidestepped? But again, only when they're while running or super plus moves. Only in those occasions. Outside of that, you're fine. You can sidestep, do whatever you want. Most of the time you have to guess. Like, Tekken's a huge guessing game. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like, just kind of guess. But doo-doo is armor.
Okay, so my only chance is just block.
Right. Only when they're super plus. And you can see, like, they actually put their arms up. Look at their animation. When they're like this, their plus is fuck. Outside of that, but if you have, like, you know, I think they're gonna press a button. Do an armor move. The only thing about an armor move is that they're weak to lows and grabs. So that's the other reason. Only know when they're gonna do a move for sure. Like, you know they don't use lows. But if you know they're like they keep being plus and they're taking their turn and they like to throw in lows, then just block and then react. Be like, react to his throw. Oh, press 1. You see that low? Oh, crush that shit. Again, that's what you want to look. Divide the attention. Pay attention. Are they pressuring or are they trying to mix me? If they're mixing, block, react. They're trying to put armor. You get what I'm saying? Like, if it's aggression, you don't know, armor. They're trying to mix you with lows and grabs, fucking just actually react. That's when they're being creative. Like, if they're actually like pressuring, then okay, you have to actually play defense. But if they're just like mindlessly pressing buttons that are plus and everything, crush that shit. Crush that shit. And remember, backdashing, keeping your distance is another good thing. We covered, you know what moves to, you know, your starters. And remember, and the thing is, you do kind of have to look up the frame data for these moves, sadly. I mean, I know the ones for my characters. You know, I know this is 15 frames. I know this is 14. You know, I know this shit. This is a good launcher, by the way. Then anything past 15, I just call them slow launches. And at that point, it's like, well, I'm just hitting you with shit. Like, if I'm hitting you with up forward 3, it's because I backdash and I saw you whiff. And I'm hitting you with this shit. Or I read, you know what? He's going to do a low. Like, these kinds of launching moves are when you get reads. Straight up, bro. Or when they're like, oh, you know, you have to move that far away. So Lars is unique where here's his standing. He has one that goes forward, and then he has one that goes back. It's like orbital heal from Brian.
Dame Tekken has a shit ton of depth than I thought.
No, the Tekken has depth, but it just doesn't have a lot of execution. This is where we get to Kazuya. The character that's the hardest to learn in this fucking, like, he's not that hard to play and learn. He's super hard to master. But we'll get into exactly why. So remember, this is